Welcome to the Cinder Drift. Today we are up against the Ruby weapon, the first in the series of new trials in the FFXIV series. This fight might seem overwhelming at first, but it's honestly pretty easy to learn once you get the handle of things, and that's where I come in. So without further ado, let's get into the fight. As is the way with many fights, the tank buster usually comes first. This is no exception, so mitigate that damage whenever you see Stamp. Shortly afterwards, you will notice Optimized Ultima. This is the raid-wide damage mechanic that just simply needs to be healed through. When the Ruby weapon jumps up in the middle and begins casting FFXIV, this is mainly just to show you that the fight is progressing to one of its core Phase 1 mechanics. You will see a cracked pattern in the ground directly after this move is cast. Be wary of its location for now. Circle AoE patterns will show up in a 3x3 grid, leaving safe zones in the middle and a few around the edge. Get into one of these safe zones. Ruby weapon will cast Liquefaction, which will sink you unless you are standing on one of those tiny cracks in the ground mentioned earlier, so find a spot to avoid dying. The fight will progress as normal until a second FFXIV class. Wow, try saying that 5 times fast. Jesus. This time a windmill-like pattern will show up on the ground. You will also notice circle AoEs directly under the weapon. These will gradually protrude out following these lines, so simply stay in the clear. 2 stack markers will show up on 2 players shortly afterwards, but I think you know how to handle that by now. Raven's Flight was by far the move that caused the most deaths in my runs, but simply put, it is just another dash attack like that of Ifrit and many others. Raven's Flight is marked with tire tread-like patterns. Use this to know which path you will take and dodge accordingly. As soon as you see Ruby jump to one side of the map, it would not be a bad idea to use any gap closes or dash moves to get close, as Ruby Dynamics is an AoE that stretches over the majority of the arena for large amounts of damage. Just be aware to spread out directly after. The third FFXIV I'm not even going to try will have the same 3x3 grid AoEs as before. However, after this hit, you will have to avoid the cracks. Just stay away from the clearly marked areas. Believe it or not, the first phase does actually have an enrage timer, but if you don't die too much, you should be able to make it easy peasy. And if you thought the fight was over, then I'm sorry. The first main part of phase 2 is ads. Burn them. Afterwards, 4 players will get marked with blue markers. Don't stack them. If Dalmud falls and the screen goes all red while there's still ads on the screen, that's a wipe. You have plenty of time to do this, however, so it shouldn't really be that much of a threat. Meteor markers will show up in roughly the 4 quadrants of the arena. The center is safe as well as the edges, just find a place and stick to it. Surprise, surprise, the meteors drop meteors and a giant comet will fall and crash in the middle of the map. Stand behind one of these new boulders to avoid taking the hit. Mark II Magitech Comet will spawn similar markings to that of Ultima's fight in the Ordone Monastery. 4 players must follow the arrows to protect the arena from falling comets. While clashing with these comets, the remaining 4 players must destroy the comet before it kills their party member. They go down quite easy, but they also do a fair amount of damage, so the quicker the better. Ruby will rapidly cast Outrage that will do party-wide damage. Heal through this is necessary, but this is not Enrage. The majority of this section is repeated mechanics that will be familiar to you by now. Keep on burning down and you will eventually destroy the weapon once and for all. Overall, this fight may have had some surprises in it, but you should be well equipped to handle it, provided I didn't miss anything, which is probably bound to happen. Until that inevitably happens, good luck on the fight. I'm Reki, you're not, and I'll see you whenever it is I do next.